Hello everyone. Welcome back to another episode of our entitled parents. In today's episode, EP doesn't turn up to collect her baby, daycare. EP wants the pool for her precious brat. My 24F parents are still trying to control me as an adult. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. EP doesn't turn up to collect her baby, daycare. Me carer. NK. Nice kid, 15 months old. EM. Rude and disinterested mom.
D. Vacant theoretical dad.
I used to provide daycare for a small number of children in my home. Most of the children and their parents were well known to me, friends or ex-colleagues. I made sure to welcome them into our home, and I believe this helped the children feel comfortable and confident. One mother, EM, however, was a doorstep mom. She wouldn't come in when invited, didn't respond to attempts at small talk, and only communicated the absolute necessities. Her daughter was lovely, so I was able to overlook her mother's shortcomings. NK attended from 7:30 a.m. till 4 p.m. every weekday. EM was prompt and always on time, if not early. One day 4 p.m. rolled around, no sign of EM. At 4:30 p.m. I phoned and left voicemail. By 5 p.m. I had phoned several more times, texted and got no reply. The phone now went straight to voicemail, so was either switched off, flat, or in constant use. I phoned and texted D, no response. I phoned our company to see if there were additional contacts, but as the family had immigrated, there were no other family listed and no friends as emergency contacts. Around 5:30 p.m., I'm starting to think of calling the police. NK is getting tired, has run out of food and bottles, and getting cranky and tired. I'm having to rock/sway/sing constantly to try and calm her. It's well past 6 and dark when EP's car finally pulls up. NK had cried herself to sleep on my shoulder, but woke when I opened the door and started crying. I expected EM to be frantic, apologetic, and embarrassed, but I was very mistaken. She looked confused by my concern and irritation. Me, what happened? Are you okay? Is D okay? EM, of course, what's the matter? Me, you're 2 hours late. You didn't answer your phone, didn't respond to my numerous texts, and D didn't answer either. EM, we had drinks after work. My phone kept going off, so I switched it off. Me, and you didn't think to ask if I could care for NK late tonight? Or tell me you'd gotten held up? EM, what's the problem? You're getting paid. I was fuming, mostly because I had really stressed that something awful had happened, and to meet with this utter disregard really pissed me off. I took great pleasure in giving her written notice a few days later to make alternative arrangements, as I would no longer be willing to provide care for NK. Edited to add. Small talk I'm referring to is child-centered, such as, oh, she looks tired, did she have a rough night, as these things can impact on activities, feed and nap schedule, etc. Social chat can occur, but this EM would literally hand over her baby and bag and leave. The term drinks is a social term and doesn't necessarily mean alcohol. The EM was not intoxicated. Child, Youth and Family Services, or CPS, do not step in unless there is a high level of chronic abuse or imminent risk. I have a lot to do with them in my current occupation. They would have only attended if I was unable to provide safe care, or after a greater length of time, as leaving your child with an approved carer and being late returning is not considered abandonment. And big thanks for the awards. That's very cool. I'd be concerned she had been out drinking and then drove to pick up her kid. In this case, drinks was the social term rather than literal alcohol consumption. I wouldn't have released her to her mother if she was driving intoxicated. Every center I've worked in has had a policy that if you're 15+ minutes late and we can't reach anyone on your contact list, your child is deemed to have been abandoned and we give custody to MCFD. The policy went so far as to say that once we called MCFD, if the parent showed up, we weren't able to relinquish their child. Only MCFD could do that. Parents all agreed and signed their agreement to this policy before their child started in our care. Late fees also accrued at $1 per minute per child. Parents were very seldom late and never more than 15 minutes. Daycares where I live charge $10 for every 5 minutes a parent is late, payable in cash directly to the teacher who has to stay behind. That poor little one's parents clearly could not give less of a crap about her. Unfortunately, as a girl child, that was true for this family. EP wants the pool for her precious brat. I was sent to a conference in Australia, with a colleague attending with me, but getting in on a later flight. We had arranged to meet up for dinner that night. We were booked with the same accommodation arrangements, i.e. as cheap as our employers could get away with. After braving the public transport system, hauling a suitcase in the intense heat, 37 C or 98.6 dF, and humidity for 2 hours, I finally found the hotel and was relieved to step into the lovely chilled reception area. Ahead of me was a lady, our main star EP, with her sulky hulk of a teenage son who varied from rolling his eyes and muttering, "Oh my God," and "Come on already," and "Hurry up." The sole staff member on reception, lovely lady, looks my way and says she'll just be a moment. I'm in air conditioning. I was happy to wait, particularly as the staff member was so pleasant. However, the lady in front of me was not. From her loud demands and rants, it seems EP wants to access the pool. EP, it's so hot today. Surely we can just pop through and use the pool. LL, I'm sorry, ma'am. The pool is for the use of our guests. EP, we could be guests. LL, guests paying for accommodation at our facility. EP, well, I could just pay for a few hours. LL, our facility does not offer accommodation for a few hours. Gotta admit, I instantly thought of the Regent Beverly Wilshire scene in Pretty Women. Sulky teen. Oh, come on. Puff roll eyes, hurry up. EP, my son just needs to cool off. He's been doing his exams and working so hard, but it's so hot today. LL, I'm sorry, ma'am. I can't allow non-guests to use the facilities. EP, okay, fine. Give me a room then. LL, I can offer you a room on the 6th floor. EP, it needs to overlook the pool. I need to be able to supervise my son. LL, okay, we have a room overlooking the pool on the 4th floor. It's a double room. EP, I don't need a double room. You just want more money. LL, we only have a few rooms available. Events in the area have most of our rooms booked. EP, then you should upgrade us to a suite. You're taking so long and wasting my time over something so simple. We only want the pool, so you should upgrade us to make up for all our trouble. EP starts ranting and phones what sounds to be her husband, reiterating to him how useless and unreasonable the woman at reception is and how they want far too much money for access to the pool. LL keeps shooting me apologetic looks throughout. Not her fault though, so I just smile and mouth, it's okay. Teen Sulk keeps muttering with occasional, "Arg, what's taking so long?" outbursts. I wanted to slap the jerk. It takes another 10 minutes of wailing before the woman finally agrees to pay for a room overlooking the pool, continuing to complain about the price she's having to pay to use the pool. I move forward and greet the LL, a good 30 minutes after arriving. LL, I'm so sorry about that. Me, that's okay. It's lovely and cool in here, so I'm good. LL, yeah, but that, shakes head slowly. Me, you don't need someone else to be a jerk today, shrug. The lady checks me in and again thanks me for my patience. I attend my room and am a bit surprised. I was sure my employer had booked one of those compact rooms with a single bed and facilities that meant you could brush your teeth and shower while sitting on the loo. Instead, I have a king-sized bed, full bath, etc. I didn't think anything of it until my colleague arrived and came to collect me for dinner. CW, wow, nice room. I just got one of those cupboard rooms. I thought our bookings were the same. I shrugged it off, but realized later the lovely lady had upgraded my room. Patience and kindness is the least you can do in this kind of situation, but it sure is nice to have some kindness returned. Feel bad for the lady for having to deal with the Karen for that long. She was probably pretty happy that you weren't going to chew her out for having to wait for 30 minutes. EP man, SMH. Unfortunately, service industry people too often get abused by entitled jerks. It's amazing they can handle it as professionally as they do. She's a freaking idiot. Pretty much every reasonably sized council in Australia has some sort of public pool facility that people can pay to access, if not also having some free access areas. No need to go anywhere near a hotel. So she paid what imagine amounts to over $100 so her precious could swim in a private pool? He too good to swim with the common folks? Honestly, some people have more money than brains. My 24F parents are still trying to control me as an adult. I moved out of my parents' house when I was 18 to go to college. Since then, I've been living on my own, with very minimal financial support from them. I covered all the costs of college on my own. They pay for my phone bill and they own my car, but otherwise, I am totally financially independent. I now have a full-time job and live across the country, and yet, they still treat me like a child. I thought it had gotten better. They came to visit last month, and they were acting so laid back. I almost could not believe it. My dad, who screamed at me on my 21st birthday for ordering one single margarita, drank with me. I thought my luck had finally turned, and they were calming down. I now think it might have been a freak occurrence. My long-distance boyfriend is planning to visit this weekend. It's a new relationship, but we've been best friends for years, so I know him very well. I mentioned to my mother that he wanted to come visit, and she made a comment about him getting a hotel. Now, my parents are very conservative, religious, and old-fashioned. However, to expect me to ask my boyfriend to stay in a hotel when he's flying across the country to see me? That's insane. I did not want it to come to a point of me needing to cut contact with them, but I'm wondering if that might actually be the best option. It's an extreme choice, but I refuse to continue living in fear. I can't do that anymore. All I want is for them to treat me like the adult I am. I'll be 25 in a few months. There is no excuse at this point. I'm so fed up and exhausted, and honestly, I am tired of having panic attacks and crying over it. If you've got advice, I'd love to hear it. Buy your own car. Tell them to stay in a hotel cost boyfriend is staying over. Stop giving them information. Talk about superficial matters, not your life/relationships. This is the way. Reading this, cutting contact over this seems a bit far to me, to be honest. But you definitely should stand your ground and calmly explain how you feel. If they cannot accept that, typical screaming, threatening, just the stuff you can read in every second post of this sub, going low contact would be a good step. But first try to show them you are an adult talking to two adults. This might already be enough. Stand your ground. Let them visit only at times and for lengths of times that you choose. Put them on a strict information. You have no reason to tell them even that you have a boyfriend, let alone whether he's coming to visit or not. If your father freaks out if you order an alcoholic drink when you're out with him again, literally laugh at him in public and say, "Oh dad, you cannot control me anymore." How he reacts such a situation, does he get super angry? Does he actually acquiesce? Will depend on whether or not you need to cut down on the amount of time you see them. They might think that they're religious, by the way, but if they are following any of the main religions, they should respect their children. They should not bully anyone. They should be slow to anger. My wife had parents like yours. She was not allowed to leave the dorm without calling her mother every morning for permission to leave. They tried to take all of her college money and they contributed nothing to college. Eventually, my wife filed as an independent student so they could not claim her on taxes despite their complaining, and she was able to get grants to go to school. They would randomly show up to campus every weekend. We moved out of state for grad school and went no contact until they agreed to treat her like an adult, which took time but worked. We had a better relationship with them until her mom died in her 50s. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and we will see you in the next video.